General Hospital spoilers are teasing what might be one of the most psychologically complex turning points we have seen from Michael in a long time. On the surface, this storyline looks like a softening of boundaries. Michael may allow Willow to see the children again after Drew's sudden stroke. That sounds compassionate. It even sounds reasonable. But when we slow this down and really analyze the motivations, the timing, and the ripple effects, it becomes clear that this decision is not just about mercy or forgiveness. It is about control, fear, unresolved love, and the possibility that Michael is standing on the edge of a much darker realization. Because while Michael may open the door to Willow, he may also be opening the door to a discovery that changes how he sees her forever. Let's break this down carefully. Michael's shift: compassion or calculated risk. Michael's potential decision to let Willow see the children comes directly after Drew's stroke. That timing matters. Michael is not acting in a vacuum. He is responding to a crisis. From Michael's point of view, Willow is facing the possibility of losing Drew. That puts her in a vulnerable position. And Michael, despite everything that has happened, still sees himself as someone who should step up when others are hurting. This suggests a shift in Michael's internal logic. Previously, Drew represented danger. Drew was the catalyst that broke Michael's marriage. Drew was the reason Michael drew a hard line. But now Drew is incapacitated, possibly dying. And in Michael's mind, that changes the equation. Michael may conclude that without Drew actively in Willow's life, Willow herself is no longer a threat. That assumption is critical. It shows that Michael still frames Willow's past betrayal as something influenced, or at least enabled, by Drew. If Drew is removed from the picture, Michael may believe the risk disappears with him. But that belief is likely flawed. Michael's compassion here is real, but it is also selective. He is not forgiving the past. He is suspending judgment because the present feels fragile. That is a dangerous place to operate from. The door cracks open: Willow, the children, an unfinished love. Allowing Willow to see the children is not a small step. It is emotionally loaded for everyone involved. For the kids, this is about stability. They want their mother. They want their parents to connect again. That pressure matters more than Michael may admit out loud. Michael is also confronting something he has never fully resolved. He still loves Willow. That love did not vanish when the marriage collapsed. It went underground. It hardened into resentment, but it never disappeared. If Willow were to apologize, genuinely and directly, Michael could possibly accept it. Not because he has forgotten the betrayal, but because he wants a version of his life where his family is intact. That desire has always driven Michael's biggest decisions. Hypothetically, Michael might even consider reconciliation if Willow opens that door herself. Importantly, Michael does not want to chase her. He wants her to choose him. That distinction matters because it keeps his pride intact. And then there is Drew's condition. If Drew dies, Willow becomes a widow. That shifts the moral optics entirely. Suddenly, Michael is no longer the man standing in the way of Willow's happiness. He becomes the safe harbor from grief. That is a powerful emotional dynamic, and Michael knows it. This is why the opportunity for reconciliation still exists, especially with the children actively wanting their parents back together. Family pressure, emotional nostalgia, and unresolved love are all converging. But this is where the story takes a darker turn. The first crack in the narrative, Michael starts asking questions. Just as Michael begins to soften, a new line of thinking emerges, one that he has never seriously entertained before. What if Drew's stroke was not just a medical tragedy? What if it was caused? The moment Lucas raises the possibility that Drew's condition could be linked to an overdose, Michael's mind shifts into analytical mode. Michael is not impulsive when it comes to strategy. He is a puzzle solver. Once a question is planted, he cannot ignore it. Now Michael starts replaying recent events. He thinks about how Chase has been unusually active in supporting Willow. Not casually supportive, but almost strategically present. Always nearby. Always available. That alone does not prove anything. But patterns matter to Michael. Then there is the adoption conversation. Chase and the adoption comment, a red flag. Not a coincidence. Chase bringing up adoption in front of Brooklyn at this exact moment is not just awkward. It is suspicious. Timing is everything in General Hospital, and this timing is terrible. Which raises the question, why do it all? Michael may begin to suspect that Chase wanted a conflict. By introducing a sensitive topic at the worst possible time, Chase may have been creating tension deliberately. If the goal was to provoke Brooklyn, then the outcome makes sense. An argument, emotional distance, and eventually a reason to leave the house. That exit creates opportunity. Opportunity to be with Willow under the socially acceptable excuse of comforting her during a crisis. Opportunity to deepen an emotional bond without immediate consequences. Possibly, Chase knew exactly what he was doing. From Michael's perspective, this reframes Chase's behavior entirely. What once looked like kindness now looks like positioning. Connecting the dots from emotional support to criminal possibility. Once Michael starts connecting these dots, the implications become disturbing. If Drew's stroke was caused by an overdose, someone had to be involved. Drew did not accidentally sabotage himself without context. Michael begins to ask the unthinkable question, could Willow and Chase have acted together? This is where the theory turns dark. Hypothetically, if Willow and Chase were working toward a future together, Drew was the obstacle. Removing Drew clears the path. Willow becomes free. Chase becomes available. Their shared grief becomes shared intimacy. Michael does not want to believe this. Emotionally, it devastates him. Strategically, it enrages him. Because this is no longer about betrayal of a marriage. This is about potential murder. The idea that Willow, the woman he still loves, could be capable of secretly injecting Drew with something that caused an overdose is almost too much to process. But Michael cannot ignore the logic once it forms. Michael's true fear, not losing Willow, but losing the truth. At this point, Michael's motivations shift again. It is no longer about reconciliation. It is no longer about the children. It is about justice. Michael does not want Willow and Chase to get away with something unforgivable. If Drew dies, and if his death was engineered, Michael cannot allow that truth to be buried. Not for love. Not for peace. Not for the sake of the kids. This puts Michael in a brutal position. If he pushes forward with letting Willow back into his life, he risks enabling her. If he pulls away, he risks looking cruel and unsupportive during a tragedy. Likely, Michael will do what he does best. He will play along. He will watch. He will gather information. Michael has always been dangerous when he goes quiet. He may allow Willow access to the children not as forgiveness, but as surveillance. Every interaction becomes data. Every emotional slip becomes evidence. Conclusion, a choice that changes everything. This storyline is not about whether Michael lets Willow see the kids. That is just the surface. The real story is about whether Michael is walking toward reconciliation or toward exposure. The stakes are enormous. If Michael is wrong, he risks destroying what little trust remains. If he is right, he is standing in the way of a crime being erased by time and sympathy. Possibly. This ends with Michael confronting Willow directly. Possibly. It ends with him turning to authorities. Or possibly, the truth explodes in a way no one can control. One thing is clear. Michael's next decision will define the future of multiple families. And whatever happens next, there is no going back to the way things were. Because once suspicion enters the picture, love is no longer enough to protect anyone.